I am really excited to have Irene Walker with us today to talk about her book and her journey with her husband who has with early onset Alzheimer's. And Irene and I spoke a few weeks ago about both the challenges and also the way that she has dealt with it through gratitude. And I thought it would be great to have a chat with her and just learn more about disease that isn't well known and that is becoming more and more prevalent, sadly. So, Irene, it's great to have you with us, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about your book.
Oh, thank you. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to chat about my book. It's called Forgiving the Man Who Forgot, Grateful Gratitude Attitude. And it is my memoir about the journey before, during, and after my husband's diagnosis with early onset dementia. And dementia is kind of like this big umbrella, is how I kind of describe it, with all these different like Parkinson's and early onset and Alzheimer's kind of underneath this umbrella of dementia. So it was a really broad brushstroke, them saying that he had early onset dementia, because it's hard to decipher sometimes which one it is. So he was 51 when he was diagnosed, and it was a real eye-opener, a shock. We were in total shock. Afterwards, when I think about it, if I had been, I guess, exposed to Alzheimer's or dementias, maybe I would have thought of that. But at the time, that was the last thing I thought that was wrong with him. I thought he was just in a major depression. And sometimes that does go hand in hand too with dementia, is that the patient, sets into a depression. So it's, for me, it was a journey about something that was much, much bigger than myself, than him. I mean, you go through those certain stages of loss or grief. Even though he was still there physically, mentally, he was, slowly fading away. And he was such a vibrant man, so full of life. So it's a really sad process to see what has happened to him. He is currently in long-term care right now. A couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was unable to care for him myself. So I had to put him into long-term care. And for me, it was all about my attitude that caused me to get help. My friends were amazing. My family lives down in the States. So I had a ton of support from my friends, which, it is hard to ask for help. I find when you are going through something like that, you think, oh, you're going to do it on your own and you can manage it. But, everybody is out there, family and friends are out there waiting for you to ask for help. I also found a lot of help with the Alzheimer's Society. And they're a real dedicated bunch. So they're able to, throw where you're supposed to go and who can help you and programs and all that sort of stuff. I call it my grateful gratitude attitude. I started practicing gratitude, even if it was like little things at night. When I'd be before I'd be closing my eyes, I think, okay, what happened today that I was grateful for? Like little tiny things, stuff that the kids did at school, or I have 3 little crazy Yorkshire Terriers. What did they do to make me laugh? Or, something that Robert said or didn't say that was encouraging. So for me, it was all about my attitude, and then I started practicing even more by writing out things every morning, 10 things that I was grateful for, writing out my goals, writing out affirmations, that type of thing. So that definitely helped. And writing my book was very cathartic for me. I live in Oakville, and, my doctor was wonderful. The specialist was great. And I kind of journaled when I was going through this with Robert, and I thought, how I don't want that to be his legacy. Like I was sad and miserable and all that sort of stuff. I wanted it to have some sort of joy with him. So I thought, let's write about, falling in love. Let's write about the nice things. And then it just kind of snowballed into a book. And I'm like, oh, if I could help people, that would be absolutely amazing. And one thing led to another, and I self-published it. And yeah, here I am.
Well, it must have been hard because he was so young. I think most people, they've heard of Alzheimer's, they've heard of dementia, but they always think it's only older people who get that, and they don't associate it. I'm sure, as you said, you didn't at first either, but it must have been really hard to sort of feeling a bit alone, I imagine, that you're going through this with someone who is so young. um, I'm sure your book would be really helpful for other people who may be going through, whether it's this disease or something else, that it affects someone when they are young and they're vibrant and healthy, and you expect to have a long life together, and then all of a sudden they're cut down at a young age.
Yeah, true. Very, very true. It was, I was kind of thrust into the role of the sole breadwinner, because before it was all 50-50. But I must say, maybe 2, maybe even 3 years before the diagnosis, things were beginning to kind of crumble for him. So I was kind of shoved into that role of doing kind of all before the diagnosis. And then when that happened, it was like definitely doing all. And then also put into a role of a caregiver. I mean, I'm not a nurse, and not that a nurse wants to be a caregiver at home either. But, I don't know the first thing about any of that sort of stuff. So, you definitely learn as you go. And it's a lesson in patience for sure. And I was always like, come on, let's get it out. Come on, let's go. So I really had to kind of tone that down. And, you have to live in the moment, and that's definitely one of the things that he taught me. Going through it, it taught me that, we are all resilient people, and you don't need something life altering in order to know how resilient you are. Look at us all going through this COVID. We are all extremely resilient people. Never thought we'd have to do any of this, but we did, and we managed. And here we are coming out, slowly, but coming out at the other end, like a light at the end of the tunnel. So I learned for myself about resilience. I learned about forgiveness, having to, forgive this disease, and, forgive my husband for getting it, which I know sounds awfully selfish, but, it's all part of the process. And, the biggest thing was forgiving myself, because I'm not perfect, and I did, a lot of things that I maybe shouldn't have, or said, or got frustrated easily. But, you have to be easy on yourself. And for me, about practicing gratitude definitely helped. But yeah, it was hard when you are pushed into this kind of kicking and screaming, in a sense, because you don't want that. Like, we're supposed to be planning our retirement one day, and we're supposed to be, planning where the kids are going to go to university, in the next few years, not, oh my gosh, do I have to plan where I'm going to be putting him into a long-term care home? So, again, you're put into a situation, and you can't give up. You've got to do it for yourself, for him, for your family. And yeah, I just hope my book can kind of help people with that.
Well, my mom was diagnosed with leukemia when she was 50,
Oh,
and she passed away when she was 57, which at the time I didn't realize just how young it was, as you get older. But she and my dad had planned to travel to Scotland after he retired. And of course, once she got sick, they weren't able to do that, and she passed away so young. And I think for me, it kind of hit home to me that, like, don't take anything for granted, and live for the moment, right? Like, don't put things off. If you know, I'm not saying to be reckless, but you know, don't put things off, and do take joy in each and every day, because you never know when that could be taken away from you. So I'm actually looking forward to reading your book. I haven't ordered it yet, so maybe you could let us know, how do we get a copy of your book?
Oh, yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. You do have to enjoy the little things in life. And even with this COVID, it kind of taught us that too, right? But yes, oh my gosh, I appreciate the support. You can get it on Amazon. And, you know, it's an easy click. Forgiving the Man Who Forgot, Grateful Gratitude Attitude. And you can follow me on Instagram, which is also Grateful Gratitude Attitude. And I have a Facebook website, um, uh, Forgiving the Man Who Forgot. And yeah, no, I really want my message to get out there that, you know, no matter how hard you think things are going to be, you know, hang on, you know, do your best. Even sometimes if getting out of bed that morning is your best, that's your best. Do your best. Get out, you know, one step in front of the other. And, you know, there's always stairs that you have to climb, and you've got to start somewhere. So I'm all about, you know, a grateful gratitude attitude. So
How has your family dealt with it, Irene?
my family lives down in the States. So, you know, unfortunately, they couldn't help me out as much as they wanted to. And but my girlfriends were there. Like, you have to have, no matter what you're going through, you have to have that support system. And they definitely helped me. And sometimes it wasn't even that I needed anything to do with this. It was just, you know, before COVID, it was just, let's get together and see what's going on with you. Like, what's the normalcy out there? What do you know, did you fight with your husband, or your kids driving you crazy, or like, what's like the funny things that are happening in your life, just to kind of get that break. But you do, like, exercise for me also helped. Just even taking a walk outside, just to kind of breathe different air, or, you know that you're not alone, that, you know, there's a big old world out there. So yeah, exercising is another thing that definitely helped me.
I'm a big fan of going for walks. I always have been. Yesterday I went for a nice long hike at Hilton Falls, and there's something about being in nature, and you know, just taking it all in. The flowers were starting to come up, you know, the birds were singing, the water was flowing. It was just, there's something quite rejuvenating about being in nature and going for a walk. So on Amazon.ca, and it's Forgiving the Man Who Forgot. And I'm so inspired by your story, and by you, and the attitude that you bring, Irene. So thank you so much for sharing with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for all that you do too. I know that it's can be a thankless job sometimes, the things that you're doing, but we all appreciate it. I also live in North Oakville, so we all appreciate all your hard work.
Well, thank you. Thank you. This has been a delight.